Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The time is 7 o'clock. The date is February 6, 2023. Before we begin our city council meeting, we do have scheduled a public hearing on ordinance number 1095. Ordinance 1095 was introduced at the last city council meeting, and the public hearing was scheduled for this evening prior to the start of today's council meeting. So this will be a public hearing on ordinance 1095 concerning the transfer of 700 Congress Avenue from Harford County to Havre. Madam Secretary, could you please read a header into the record, please?
Okay. An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11-E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre Grace City Charter, to ratify, affirm, and accept the transfer of 700 Congress Avenue, Havre de Grace, Maryland, 21078 from Harford County, Maryland, to the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Is there anybody in the audience this evening here to speak on ordinance number 1095? Okay. Any comments from the council on 1095? Okay. Without any citizen comment or council comment, I now declare public hearing on ordinance 1095 to be closed. The time is now 7:02. Thank you. Good evening. It is February 6, 2023. The time is 7:02 p.m. I call to order a meeting of the Havre Grace Mayor and City Council. I will call the roll. Council President Ringsacker.
Here.
Councilmember Zinner. Absent. Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Shenagus.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Thank you very much. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and the opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. If I could ask everyone to kindly remain standing for a few more moments, as it gives me a great honor to call up Deaconess Renisha Robinson of Agape Church.
Thank you. Please bow your heads and pray with me. Most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, on behalf of all who are gathered here tonight, I just want to thank you. Thank you for being God and God alone. Thank you for the manifold and abundant blessings you give unto us all daily. Thank you for the gift of life itself and for your unconditional agape love. We come to your throne of grace with thanksgiving in our hearts and an expectation that we may obtain grace and find mercy in your presence. Lord, we thank you for enabling us to get involved in this community, to promote meaningful activities, and to be demonstrators of the useful work of servant leadership for your people. Thank you for the privilege and the honor of bearing appropriate civil and governmental responsibilities. Lord, your scriptures teach us that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities. Since you have established those very authorities, we pray that peace, order, and justice would prevail. I pray your choicest blessings upon the Mayor of Havre de Grace, the various governing city officials present, and upon the assembled city council members gathered here tonight. Lord, I'm asking that you would so graciously grant them knowledge, wisdom, that you so graciously give to navigate the conflicting interests and issues of our time set before them with open hearts and open minds, and let it be done in the spirit of unity. Grant them courage, confidence, and a sense of the welfare and true needs of Havre de Grace residents. Grant them peace in their personal lives and joy in their daily tasks as they seek goodwill for the community and its citizens. Lord, I pray that tonight's meeting would flow freely and that the execution of tonight's agenda would be carried out successfully. As I conclude this prayer, Father, please give us an assurance of who you are, what would please you, and what would benefit those who live and work in and around the beloved city of Havre de Grace. These humble requests I submit to you, all-wise, all-knowing, loving, everlasting Father, in the matchless name of Jesus. Amen and amen.
Amen. Deaconess Robinson, thank you so much for your time and thank you for your words. Have a good evening. have to amend the agenda? Yes, sir. Go ahead, Council President.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize. Council, citizens all, I do need to amend the agenda. Under number 14, new business, I need to add A2 for House Bill 556, the Cannabis Reform Bill. And Adam Rachinski will provide a short overview.
I'm sorry, under what, eight?
Under 14,
Item
new
14,
business.
sorry. Item 14. Okey dokey, A2, gotcha.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Council President. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Item number 5 is the approval of minutes. Item A, City Council meeting minutes of January 17th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second?
Motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Schnegus. Questions or comments on the council meeting minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council meeting minutes of January 17th, 2023 are approved 5-0 in the affirmative. Item B, City Council Public Works Session meeting minutes of January 23rd, 2023. Motion to approve. So moved. Motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by the Council President. Questions or comments on those meeting minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council Public Works Session meeting minutes of January 23rd, 2023 carry 5-0 in the affirmative. Item 6 is comments from citizens. So this is the part of tonight's meeting. If you're here to speak about something that is on the agenda, it's a good time to do so, or the only time to do so. And if you're here to speak on any other item of city business that you wish to speak about that's not on the agenda, it's also the time to do so as well. I usually start with my forms that have been pre-filled. And I'd like to start with Pete Quackenbush. Welcome, sir. Good to see you.
It's wonderful to be seen. How's that sound? Thank you very
Sounds
much.
good.
I wanted to talk about resolution number 7, if that's okay. 11 for the ambulance corps. Would that be appropriate time to do it now, or would you want me to talk
Yeah,
about
right
it
now.
later?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Basically, as you guys will find out a little later on, this is something that Casey has been working on for quite some time. I think it was brought up last year and again this year. And it's, you know, with the Havre Ambulance Corps, I can speak for, we're always looking for recruitment tools. I mean, when I joined back in the early 90s, we were doing 800, maybe 1,000 calls, more like 800. Last year, we broke 3,000. We did 3,054. So it's just nonstop in EMS. So we see, you know, EMS providers that are leaving or stressing out. People aren't filling their positions when they leave. It's hard to get EMTs and especially paramedics. So we're always looking for some type of a tool to get this into a better place, and this is what this does. This really gives us a little bit of a leg up when it comes to providers that are in our own city, because if they do 75 calls or more and stuff, they get this extra incentive to be with the Havre Ambulance Corps. I can't figure out a better way to partner up is with the city to try to, you know, get more tools in our shed and stuff in order to be able to bring in these providers that, you know, we've been pretty lucky to be able to get a good mixture of city people and also people from outside the area. So we're really encouraged that this will bring more people in because we advertise it and we really try to push this, and it makes, you know, it look good for EMS and especially for the city. They're like, oh, wow, the city does that? Yeah, they do. So it really means a lot to our people and to EMS as a whole in Havre de Grace. And, you know, we see some of that happening because we have a bigger, you know, we're EMS only, we still see a lot more EMS providers than most companies in Hartford County. So I hope everybody votes for it. This is a wonderful thing. And I would thank you for your time that you gave us to be able to speak for this.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Next paper I've filled out is, and again, if you didn't fill a paper out and you want to speak, once I go through the filled out papers, I'll call on anybody who wishes to speak. But I'm going to do the filled out papers first. I'd like to call Mr. Louis Fillinger.
Sir, since you have a busy agenda, I'm in here in case there are any questions on Easter egg hunt. So with that, or when we get there, we'll go. Otherwise, we'll move on.
Okay. I don't know. It can be pretty controversial. We'll see. It might just barely pass tonight. I don't know. Okay, no, I'm kidding. Thanks, Mr. Fillinger, for being here to support the Easter egg hunt. And when we get to it, we'll have any questions, we'll let you know. Thank you, sir. Mr. Dan McLaughlin. Good evening, sir, and welcome. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members and City staff. My name is Dan McLaughlin. I'm a Vice President of the Havre Grace Youth Sailing Program. Captain Rick Wall, who's the President of Havre Grace Youth Sailing, couldn't be here tonight, so he asked me to speak for the program. And that is we would like your support in requesting that the Department of Natural Resources enforce a 6-mile-per-hour wake zone, essentially from the green can off of the city marina down to the Amtrak bridge. The details are in a handout that I provided. The reason we feel this is so important is, as some of you may know, we run a junior sailing program with kids from the age of 7 to 17 off of Hutchins Park. And the kids are out sailing in very small boats right off of Hutchins Park and across to the other side of the river. And the wakes from boats that are sometimes going 40, 50 miles per hour down the river create a hazard for our kids. Not only do they potentially swamp the boats or hit the kids, but the boats, when they're at the dock, are impacted by the waves from those wakes. And we have had damage to our boats at the docks because of this. So we would very much appreciate your support with the DNR to create that 6-mile-per-hour wake zone. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I'd call Ms. Carol Allen. Good evening, Ms. Allen. Welcome to the meeting. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Thank you. Carol Allen. I live at 814 Market Street, but I'm here in my
Welcome.
capacity as Director for Concord Point Lighthouse.
Hi.
And shall I roll right along?
You may.
Okay. I just wanted to make a very short comment about agenda item number 14.6, which is the Arts, Wine, Jazz, and Soul Festival, which is a festival that is a fundraiser for the Colored School Foundation Cultural Center. And I've been in communication with their president of their board, Patricia Cole, several times over the course of the past few months when she's been considering transitioning that event from the Lock House grounds to Concord Point Park. And so today I looked through the agenda and reviewed the map for the event, and I called Patricia and I pointed out that a small change is going to be needed to the map for the event. As the map is submitted with the event application, it shows the public restrooms being within the perimeter of the snow fencing, and that's not typically how that's handled. And Pat was just not able to make the connections that she needed to with everybody who's done similar events at this location in the past. But I just wanted to be on the record to note that the snow fencing should stop short of the public restrooms and should not kind of like veer into the Keeper's House yard as is shown. But otherwise, I think it's fine, and Patricia agreed readily with the changes that I recommended.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Allen? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And Ms. Allen, I also just found out that The Lighthouse is doing the St. Patrick's Day thing again to Vandiver.
Hope to see you there.
All right, we will. Thank you. It's always a great event. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. It's a good event. It's good times. Yeah. Okay, so I think that is all the pre-filled out forms I have for speakers. So now I'll open the floor up to any citizen that wishes to speak either on an agenda item, or if you're here because you want to speak on any other matter of city business, please raise your hand and be recognized. Okay, all right. Any comments from council before we move forward? All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate all the citizens who gave the time to speak. Okay, item 7, appointments. We have no appointments this evening, and we're going to go to item 8, recognitions. And we have one big recognition that we'd like to perform here, right, Chief? So, Chief, I guess we should go down to the well and call up Corporal Brown for now? Okay. Chief, you want to give a quick background to the audience and viewing public at home why we have this distinguished man here this evening?
Oh, absolutely. I am very, very pleased to announce the promotion of Corporal Brown to Sergeant Brown. I feel very, very fortunate because I'm going to refer to you as Bert right now, but Bert came to us after retiring from Baltimore City Police Department. He had a very, very good career with Baltimore City Police Department. And I think he felt like he was still young enough to come here with us, so thank you. It's not that you're old now. Yeah, you're still young, but anyhow. He's been amazing. He really, really has. He's done a lot of assignments so far since he's been here with the City of Havre de Grace. He's been on patrol. He's worked daytime. He's worked nighttime. Now you are back to nighttime. You started out night, day, and now you're back to night. He was also a school resource officer. And I have to say, I don't know what it is about the school resource officers that we have, but for some reason they really love our school resource officers. And he was one of the ones that they absolutely loved. I remember at an awards ceremony when the principal was introducing all of the, nice people in the audience and on stage, and they got to Bert, and the kids are like, wow, they're applauding and hooping and hollering, but in a good way. Not in a bad way. And so that's a great deal about Bert and his impact on students throughout his time in the school. So the one thing that I can absolutely tell you is that I unbelievably trust this man's judgment. I value his input and his insight on a lot of different issues because of his experience, because of his time on the job, both here as well as in Baltimore City. And probably the one thing that he and I have a little bit in common was we have a tendency to be a little bit of a traditionalist. I like to wear a tie. He likes to wear a tie. I like to, look nice and spotty or spot clean and everything like that. He's definitely like that. He absolutely is. And not only that, as a sergeant, the sergeant I always feel is probably one of the most important ranks in law enforcement because they are the ones that really do pay attention to what is going on the road and the officers and what they're doing, and they teach them, and they make sure that they follow the policies and that they have all the training. So he's an amazing person, and I know he's going to be an amazing sergeant. Well, he already is, but thank you very much. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Chief. Sergeant Brown, like I say, I thought your son. First time I got to know Officer Brown was when I told his son, how old is your son now?
He'll be 21 tomorrow.
Wow, 21. Wow, okay, all right. So it was a few years ago I told him. But, I got to know who you were when I met your son and been following you as SRO for the City of Havre de Grace. And your reputation and people who speak highly about you is uncompared to any other officer in the City of Havre de Grace. And when this promotion came across our desk, this was a no-brainer, and we're honored that you chose the city of Havre de Grace to fulfill a second career and that you want to continue on with your profession. And I know that just by telling all the officers in the audience tonight supporting you says a lot about the man that you are. And I just consider myself the luckiest mayor, the luckiest council to have you in our city. So thank you very much. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read you the oath real quick, make it official. Officer Brown, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand. I'm going to say the word I. When I say the word I, please repeat your name. I
Richard Brown,
do solemnly swear
where
that I will fulfill
I will fulfill
the requirement
the requirement
of the office I'm about to assume,
office that I'm about to assume,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I'll be faithful,
I will be faithful,
bear true allegiance
bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the state of Maryland,
and support the laws,
support the laws,
Constitution thereof,
and Constitution thereof,
that I will faithfully
I will faithfully
and impartially
partially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a police officer for the city of Havre de Grace
of police officer for the city of Havre de Grace,
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Sergeant.
Thank you.
And I also want to give you the certificate for your promotions. And we have one more tradition. If I could have your son come up to do the badge pinning. Brandon. Yeah, I will have an application for the city of Havre officer. What he says, I'll get you now.
Look how tall he is.
Have your all of your family. Come on, guys.
My friend, everybody, come on.
Wanda, really, Wanda. Somebody else back there too, hide.
Everybody, wait a minute, you in the back, there you go.
Thunder.
Yes.
What's that? Okay, we're going to go to item number 9 on this evening's agenda, which is proclamations. This evening, we have no proclamations, which takes us to item 10, presentations. And this evening, we actually do have 2 presentations. We're going to start off with the Havre County Schools Growth Report, and that is going to be given to us this evening by our Director of Planning, Mr. Tim Boissier. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. We recently, in the department, we have to file annual reports with the Maryland Department of Planning where we discuss with them the number of permits that we had in the past year. And as part of that, every 2 years, we have to provide them with information on our adequate public facilities ordinance. So as I read through our adequate public facilities ordinance, it states that in July of every year and in January when amended, that me as the Director of Planning needs to submit to you the county's annual growth report or the amendments to the growth report. So that is part of what tonight is about. There's another part to this that's in section 27B that says adequacy standards, minimum acceptable levels of service. Upon acceptance of the annual growth plan report by the mayor and city council. So I'm not sure of the formal process of that, but tonight or at some point we need to accept this annual growth report. So I'm not sure if you had a chance to read what I have put in what I placed in the file for this for the presentation tonight, but I do have the most recent annual report from 2020 and 2021, and then I have the amendments to that from December this year. So what I can tell you is that the report does meet our requirements in 27A2, A through G, so all that stuff is in there. And I can also tell you that if you did accept the report tonight, that there's no consequence to our adequate public facilities. So in Part B1 of our adequate public facilities ordinance, it says preliminary approval, preliminary subdivision plans exceeding 5 lots and site plans for multifamily residential developments exceeding 5 dwelling units shall not be approved at locations where either of the following conditions exist. And that is that elementary, middle, or high schools are at 110% or greater of the rated capacity within the next 3 years, and any abutting school districts are also at 110% or higher. And that is not the case in this report. And I'll go a little bit further into that. So I'm not sure if the council wants to take any action and accept the report tonight, or if they want some time to read this over. But according to our adequate public facilities ordinance, it does say upon acceptance of the annual growth plan of the annual growth report from the mayor and city council.
President, what do you want to do?
Make a motion that we accept the school report,
Second.
school growth report from Mr. Boissier.
Shall we arm wrestle, case?
I have a motion by Council President, seconded by Councilmember Boyer to accept the Havre County Schools Growth Report. Questions or comments? No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Thank you. And I'll just briefly finish the presentation, then take any questions from you all. So on attachment 1 of the report that I've provided you is the 2020-2021 annual growth report. In attachment 2 is the December 2022 amendment to the growth report. If you turn to, there's no page numbers, I apologize for that. It would be the second page of attachment 2 and page 3, which is table 6B. There's three elementary school districts that serve Havre de Grace, and that is Meadowvale, Roy Williams, and Havre de Grace Elementary. So on the third year of this plan in 2025, 2026, it is predicted that Havre de Grace will be at the 110% capacity mark. However, Meadowvale will only be at, I say only, Meadowvale will be at 99%, not the 110% threshold, and Roy Williams will be at 64%. So as I stated earlier, this doesn't affect us in our ordinance, which requires us to say that we can only have 5 or less subdivisions or multifamily units allowed, because we don't provide proper school facilities, or the county's not providing proper school facilities, because those two abutting districts, Meadowvale and Roy Williams, aren't at that 110% mark. So we meet our requirements. However, if you go, attachment 3 is the map, just in case you wanted to see what the districts were. So Roy Williams is in green, and Meadowvale's in the grayish blue, depending on how your print turned out. And then the yellow or orange color is the Havre de Grace Elementary School District. So the issue I would say that we have, just to consider this, with our adequate public facilities ordinance, I'm supposed to be presenting this to you twice a year. So you get multiple stabs at the apple whenever new amendments and stuff, stabs at the, I don't know what that means. Anyway, you get multiple stabs at this. So twice a year. So if you go to attachment 4, this is the Harford County balancing enrollment process. So in here, it discusses their plan on what they want to do for elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools that will be over capacity. So I just wanted to bring to your attention their plan. On page, it's attachment 4, if you have it. So their current plan to address elementary school capacity concerns, which is our issue here, is they're going to build a combined special education and elementary education facility that'll take up to 700 students from throughout the elementary school districts and put them in elementary school. They also plan it, and that'll happen in 2026, 2027. There's also some point down the road, they do mention in here that they'll acquire property for a future school site in Havre de Grace, but they don't discuss when that would occur. But back to the combined special education school that they plan on putting in place in 2026, 2027, it further states on page 5 that they won't be making any boundary changes until 2026, 2027. So that's a year, the school year after Havre de Grace Elementary will already be at capacity. So it wouldn't be until that next year, if they're able to follow through with what they want to do, that they would change boundaries for the school districts, or have that school in place to alleviate the overcrowding, the expected overcrowding at Havre de Grace Elementary. So this is something we could revisit in June when they make amendments to their population projections in these areas. But this is also something I think that should just be on our radar to watch how redevelopment is occurring in the existing Havre de Grace School District area. Just because if the county doesn't meet their own goals, we're going to kind of be setting them up for being way over capacity, and they're already predicted to be at 110%. I'll take any questions that you have.
Council, any questions? Okay. All good? Anything else, Mr. Borsier?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the report. And by the way, that vote did pass 5-0 in the affirmative for accepting the report. Thank you. Okay. We're going to go to item B, Marina Commission report. This report's going to be given by Director of Planning, Mr. E.J. Malizer. Good evening, sir.
So, good evening, Mayor, Council President, council members, citizens here and at home. Here's the Marina Commission report. Sorry for breaking the mic. I'll begin. So we met in November and talk about the annual reports and findings. So I'll be brief, but want to talk about the city code. Many of you don't know the city code. 25, Article 12, subsection 25 through 76. Give you a second to read along. But again, this is just covering section 25 through 73. These are the membership requirements. These are the members, voting members of 2022. Steve Young, Rocco DiGiovanni, Tammy Shanegas, Bruce Lyon, John Narvell, Stephen Gamatoria, Steve Lay, Darrell Leonetti, David Martin, George DeHorty. Just like to recognize them for giving their contributions and all their help with putting this together. So thank you. So our 2023 voting members, Commission Chair Tammy Shanegas, John Narvell, Robert Bosali, George DeHorty, Darrell Leonetti, David Martin, Steve Lay, Rocco DiGiovanni again. Thank you all for helping out this year. So by city code, we're required to provide a strategic direction, go over the capital projects and rate structure, the budgeting considerations for timing and implementation, and establish and monitor operational goals and objectives. And again, go over the rates and charges. So again, Section 25, Article 12. The last review was by EDAB, Economic Development Advisory Board, in 2021. And we want to discuss going over how we're going to replenish the depleted reserves at the marina. A few items to cover are the fuel tanks needed in 2023, the capital project costs, the engineering design, maintenance, dredging, etc. So I do want to give credit to the grant opportunities sought out this past year from Mr. Steve Young. He did an excellent job this year. Some may be covered in this agenda as breezing through it, but he earned $785,000 last year. I think that's an excellent job and a credit to Steve Young at the Yacht Basin. Great job. So we have many capital projects coming up, and our rate structure needs to be in line with those, and also to, as mentioned, replenish the funds. So developing capital project costs is prioritized based on need and critical funding and timing and implementation. So the rate structure, it is recommended by the marina based off of our findings that price increases for slip fees are in need. Again, that's in need. We currently charge $65 per foot registration foot, and at this current rate, we will deplete the enterprise reserves. So, as mentioned, the Commission supports the implementation and legislation for mandated increases based off of the current annual operating costs. You can read some of the forecasted expenses. I can go over those. Removable stairs, we have to move those all the time during storms, many of you see. We have to pick those up with the forks and everything and get those away from the water. Dock box replacement, if you walk the piers, you'll see those. Dead boat removal. So, funny story about that. The boats, if you walk the line, I asked Steve, how many dead boats do we have? Because that's what we hear about, is like, I'm working on these dead boats. So, he actually removed a total of 7 over the past year and going into this year. And the last boat, I thought it was funny, is named Finally. So that's just a sidebar. Dead boat is just dead in the water. There's no owner to, abandon. Thank you. Oh, lastly, I want to cover the bulkhead deterioration. Mr. Gamatoria brought that to my attention based off of some of the dredging in the past. If you notice, there is a minor sinking that we're keeping track of, and I just wanted to have that considered in the forecasted expenses. Capital projects, the dredging cost, that's a significant fee. The fuel tank upgrade, piling and decking replacement, bulkhead deterioration engineering, electric submeters, launch kiosks at Water Street and Yacht Basin, and parking lot resurfacing. You're happy about that one? So again, we have to establish and monitor goals. How are we going to get there if we do not increase our rate structure based off of the local marinas in comparison that I'll get to? So in-house, we plan to extend the hours at the fuel dock from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. in season. And the state of the marina, we currently have one full-time and one part-time employees. Many of you know Ezra was recently hired as a part-time employee. Excellent job picking up seasonal employees over the years. We're going to need 3 more, so please volunteer and sign up for that when it opens. We're looking forward to more. And continue to seek grant funding. Lastly, improve our customer service. There's always room for improvement there. I think Steve and Ezra do an excellent job currently, but looking forward to having them train our seasonal hires. So here's a look at our local area rate structure for some of the marinas. As you can read, Tidewater Marina, $150 per foot, annual $160, Havre de Grace Marina, $93 per foot, and Log Pond Marina, $108. So let's compare those to our current rate charges. As you see, $65 per foot, and I could just skip back real quick. You see we're grossly out of comparison. Launching fee, $10, and transient slip, $1.50. So I come before you to humbly ask for, on behalf of Commission Chair in front of me, to consider rate increases.
You said $150 a foot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
For transient slip.
Transient, okay.
I'd like to open up for any questions, comments, concerns.
Council, any questions for EJ? Councilmember Boyer?
Thank you very much for this presentation. So you're asking for an increase. What's the increase you're asking for?
That'll be visited during some of the schedules that are recommended based off of information we've gathered and a proposal put together from the yacht master. And I'm sure that'll be in front of us soon when we consider our fee schedule.
So when is that?
That should be on the agenda, Director of Administration.
It's in the fee schedule now.
Oh, this current fee schedule, okay.
Thank you.
And I guess you'll be happy to know it goes to $67.24, $70.25, and $72 in fiscal year 20. That's in the fee schedule as before.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any more?
Other questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Melizer. Appreciate the report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all for your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to item number 11, resolutions. This evening, we have one resolution, and that's going to be in a wheelhouse. It's going to be a resolution concerning review and approval criteria used to for the status of creating the basic credit for Susquehanna Hose Company, Havre Grace Ambulance Corps, and Havre Grace Police Department for tax credit. And I'm going to hand this off to the Chair of the Public Safety Committee, which is going to be Councilmember Boyer.
I move to introduce the resolution concerning review and approval of criteria used to characterize active status for the basic
Microphone.
I move to introduce a resolution concerning the review and approval of criteria used to characterize active status for the basic credit for the Susquehanna Hose Company, Havre de Grace Ambulance Corps, and the Havre de Grace Police Department.
Second.
Thank you very much. I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Shenagus. This is a motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction of the resolution? Councilmember Boyer?
Just to remind everybody, we've already passed the ordinance adopting the increase in the tax credit for our first responders. What this resolution does, it sets as per the ordinance the criteria. The criteria has been reviewed by the Ambulance Corps and Susquehanna Hose Company. They are in concurrence with it. I do have one amendment that I would like to offer at this time. Well, actually, we just introduced it, so, right?
Yeah, probably we'll go through the introduction, and then we're under the question. That'd be a good time to do it.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay,
Just
thank
let
you.
everyone know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments under the introduction of this resolution? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce the resolution carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, could you please read the header of this resolution and assign this resolution a number, please?
Yes, this will be resolution number 2023-02. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland in sections 33 and 34 of the city charter, to review and approve criteria used to characterize active status for the basic credit for qualifying members of the Susquehanna Hose Company, Havre de Grace Ambulance Corps, and the Havre de Grace Police Department.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council, I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-02.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Council President and it's seconded by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments? Councilmember Boyer?
So I do have one amendment I'd like to offer. It's on line 55. After life members of the Havre de Grace Ambulance Corps, I'd like to insert, and let me rephrase that, I move that we insert, and Susquehanna Hose Company, comma, must have 15 years of service to receive the basic tax credit. And it's simply the insertion of Susquehanna Hose.
Second.
Line 55. Can you say that one more time, please, for me?
Life members of the Havre de Grace Ambulance Corps and Susquehanna Hose Company must have 15 years of service to receive the basic tax credit.
Does Hose Company have life members? The same
I
way?
asked.
Okay.
Scotty, and he concurred.
Scotty doesn't know.
Okay.
Scotty Hurst, for the record.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Shenegis, to insert the word Susquehanna Hose Company after the word Havre de Grace Ambulance Corps on line 55, correct?
Correct.
And Susquehanna Hose Company. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion made by Councilmember Boyer carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Councilmember Boyer? Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. We're still under the question for Resolution 2023-02. Any other further questions or comments or amendments? Madam Secretary, can you please give us a roll call vote?
Councilmember Boyer,
Yes.
Councilmember Shenegis,
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson,
Yes.
Councilmember Zenner, is Councilmember Boyer, Martin,
Yes.
and Council President Ringsacker.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, City Council Resolution 2023-02 is approved by council. Thank you. We're going to go to item 12, ordinances. Item A, ordinance number 1093 for second reading. And I'm going to hand that off to the council president.
Mr. Mayor, Council, make a motion to introduce ordinance number 1093 concerning amending City Code 25, boards, committees, and commissions for second reading and adoption.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the council president, seconded by Councilman Martin. This is a motion to introduce 1093 on second reading. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance 1093 carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, could you please read the header for 1093 into the record one more time?
An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11-E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, to amend City Code 25, Boards, Committees, and Commissions, Article 1, Section 225-0, duty to report, duty to attend work session.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council, I have a motion. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1093 on second reading?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by the Council President. Questions or comments? Council President.
This is an adoption of just a housekeeping bill where right now, as it stands, the boards and committees are supposed to get together all together in one room once a year. We found it was redundant and unnecessary if they're coming here and getting a full report anyways. So we're just removing that requirement.
Thank you very much, Council President. Any other questions or comments? Madam Secretary, could we please have a roll call vote on ordinance 1093 on second reading?
Ordinance 1093. Councilmember Robertson?
Aye.
Presenter is absent. Council President Ringsacher?
Yes.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Shanigas?
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. By roll call vote, a 5-0 in the affirmative, ordinance number 1093 concerning amending City Code 25 is approved by Council. Item B, ordinance 1094, second reading. Council President.
All right. Next one, we have I make a motion to introduce ordinance number 1094 concerning amending section 127-10 food truck requirements for second reading and adoption.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilmember Martin. This is a motion to introduce ordinance 1094 on second reading. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance 1094 on second reading carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, could you do us a favor and please read a header back into the record?
An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11-E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, to amend Sections 127-10, Food Truck Requirements of the City Code, Chapter 127, titled Peddling and Soliciting.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Council, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1094 on second reading?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Shanigas. Questions or comments on 1094? Council President.
Mr. Mayor, Council, what this ordinance does is actually add one or two more spots, it's two, right? At the end of Bourbon Street in the non-residential portion, across from, well, near the marina area. And what that does is allows the brewery right there to have, to expand their business and to have food options as well. What we did consider, a lot of the citizen comments from around town, people were, like a couple business owners who were upset because they thought that it would actually pull business away from them. And after speaking with the owner, you know, we've got to agree with him that it actually, I think, enhances their business. For instance, McGregor's can put a food truck there. Coakley's can put a food truck there. All our other businesses can also sell there on their location. In addition to that, it's not exactly like the location of this this brewery that wants to have the food trucks is right downtown near these other businesses. So I don't think it's really going to interfere. The people are going to the breweries for that reason. I don't know that they're necessarily going to stop at competing businesses to go eat when they can still at any time, you know, get Grubhub or DoorDash to deliver to the restaurant, or they can grab food and take it with them. The other brewery in town, And if anybody knows Miss Suni, got some egg rolls from her, and we actually went there and had egg rolls and beer. It was really good. And so we really don't see it impacting other businesses downtown. We think that it's going to actually enhance the downtown area and offer more options. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I will be voting yes.
Thank you, Council President. Any other questions or comments from council? Madam Secretary, can you please give a roll call on ordinance 1094 on second reading?
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer?
Yes.
Council President Ringsacher?
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson?
Yes.
Councilmember Shanigas?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, ordinance number 1094 concerning amending city sections 127-10 food truck requirements is approved by council on second reading. Item 13, old business. This evening we have no old business. Item 14, new business. And we have some new business tonight. And so the first one's going to be item A. I'm going to hand it off to Council President Ringsacher.
Mr. Mayor, Council, what I'd like the council to consider tonight is SB 287 and House Bill 509 from the state for the State Board of Elections, municipal elections. And the city will be, under this ordinance, the city will be required to publish election results of the State Board of Elections website. We are asking for support with amendments. The amendment clarifies the results do not need to be posted until 30 days after being certified. Currently, we send an email to the Maryland Manual online with updates, and then go to forms on MML website and submit election results. Councilmember Martin has been working with MML and leading the effort to have the bills amended. And because of that, I'm asking for a motion from the council to support SB 287-509 with amendment, and I actually do make that motion.
Council, I have a motion by the Council President. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Shanigas. Question or comments on the Council President's motion? Dave?
One of the questions I have is, I thought it was after the certified results were received, and I don't see that in this.
Councilmember Martin, that is the version of the bill that without the amendments. The amendments haven't been filed yet, but they will be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Motion to support Senate Bill 287 and House Bill 509 carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Thank you, Council President. Item 2, which was amended onto this evening's agenda, is going to be a presentation from Mr. Adam Rosinski, who's the intergovernmental liaison for the city of Havre Grace, and has been spending most of his time in Annapolis these last couple of weeks representing the city of Havre Grace and bringing us back all kind of great news about the good things that are going on down there. So, cannabis reform.
Yes, sir.
All right, lay it on us.
So, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm here to speak with you tonight about Senate Bill 516 and House Bill 556. Both of these bills are identical. They're just cross-filed in both chambers. And the bills seek to regulate the topics of medical use cannabis and adult use cannabis. So last year, the Constitution was amended. Article XX, cannabis, was added. Essentially, that article prescribes two provisions. One, that adult use cannabis will become legal July 1 of this year. And item B, that the General Assembly shall pass legislation, essentially creating a statutory framework for adult use cannabis. So on the screen, you can see a timeline of where this framework stands. So last year, as I said, Chapter 45 was enacted subject to a constitutional referendum. In November 2022, the referendum was passed. last Friday, February 3rd, SB 516 and House Bill 556 were introduced. And next Thursday, February 17th, the HB 556 will receive a hearing. The sponsors of the bill on the House side are Delegates Wilson and Atterbury. On the Senate side, you have Senator Fieldman and Hayes. On the House side, the bill has been assigned to Economic Matters. On the Senate side, the bill has been assigned to Budget and Taxation. So both pieces of legislation will seek to modify the Health General Article, Alcoholic Beverages Article, Tax General Article, Economic Development Article, and the State Finance and Procurement Article. So one of the first things the bill does, it renames the current Alcohol and Tobacco Commission and renames it the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Cannabis Commission. The purpose of this commission is basically to regulate cannabis. So I'm just going to go over a few definitions found in the bill so we're all on the same page. Cannabis means the plant Cannabis sativa L in any part of the plant. It must have a THC concentration greater than 0.3%, and it is not hemp. Canopy means the total square footage of space used by a cannabis license for the purpose of growing, producing plants. Cannabis products are basically edibles, tinctures, things of that nature, oils. A consumer is a 21-year-old individual who purchases cannabis from another 21-year-old individual who has a license. A dispensary, you can essentially think of that as a grocery store for cannabis. On-site consumption establishment means an entity licensed under the bill to distribute cannabis or cannabis products for on-site consumption. So essentially, you would go to the facility, consume cannabis there. So now I'm going to go over the licensing structure. Within the bill, the bill creates 4 license types. Each one of these licenses are valid for 5 years. Each allows a holder to sell adult or medical cannabis. And it is possible to convert an existing license for medical cannabis to adult use cannabis license. The 4 license types are standard licenses, micro licenses, incubator space licenses, and on-site consumption licenses. So a standard license allows for a grower to operate more than 10,000 square feet of canopy, but not more than 300,000 square feet. It allows a processor to process more than 1,000 pounds of cannabis per year. And it allows a dispensary to operate a store at a physical location that sells cannabis or cannabis products. The micro license for growers allows them to operate not more than 10,000 square feet of canopy. For processors, not to process more than 1,000 pounds of cannabis per year, and for dispensaries to operate a delivery service that sells cannabis or cannabis products without a physical storefront, provided they have no more than 10 employees. So you also have an incubator space license, which authorizes the holder of a license to operate a facility within a micro license space. And then you have on-site consumption licenses, which authorizes the holder of the license to operate a facility in which individuals can smoke, vape, or consume cannabis. An on-site consumption establishment may operate only if the county and, if applicable, the municipality where the business is located have issued a permit or license that expressly allows the operation of on-site consumption establishments. So I'm going to go over some of the things counties and municipal governments can and can't do under this legislation. So a county and a municipality may prohibit the operation of an on-site consumption establishment, prohibit or restrict the smoking or vaping of cannabis at on-site consumption establishments, or adopt zoning and planning requirements for on-site consumption establishments. Just to give a little bit more background on these on-site consumption establishments, food service can apply for an on-site consumption license. However, Cannabis cannot be added to food, nor can alcohol be served on the premise. Going back to more enabling parts of the bill, local governments may establish reasonable zoning requirements for cannabis businesses and to decide how to distribute its allocation of revenue. A local government may not impose a tax on cannabis, establish zoning or other requirements that unduly burden a cannabis license, or prohibit the transportation of cannabis through its jurisdiction. A local government may also not interfere with the transfer of a medical license to an adult use cannabis license, nor negotiate with the business for in-kind services, nor require an existing business to go before a planning commission. I'm going to cover a few of the civil immunities in the bill. So a state government may not deny a benefit or an entitlement or something like a driver's license under the bill based on lawful cannabis usage. Also, a local government cannot deny employment to an individual for prior convictions of nonviolent cannabis offenses. However, a government employer may discipline an employee or a contractor for ingesting cannabis in the workplace or working while impaired by cannabis. Additionally, the legislation does not prohibit a government employer from dismissing an employee or disciplining an employee if they test positive for THC, as long as it's done within the parameters of its policy. I'll leave you with the tax schedule. So beginning in FY 2024, cannabis will be taxed at 6%. Under this current proposed schedule, it will go up 1% each year to 2028, where it will reach 10% taxation. And 1.5% of the tax coming in will be given back to the jurisdiction it was collected in. And the administration is seeking that the city supports this legislation with amendments, and we are asking for permission to enter testimony next week.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Adam, I make a motion that, let's see here, I make a motion to provide the administration with the authority to take a positive position and provide testimony. Let me say that again. I make a motion that we provide the administration with the authority to take a position and provide testimony on this bill in Annapolis. As amended, correct?
Yes, sir.
With amendment.
Council, I have a motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilmember Shanegas. Questions or comments? Councilmember Martin.
Okay. A couple of the concerns I have. One, when we're talking municipalities and municipal employees, in this bill, I don't see any additional training established for HR or supervisors in detecting cannabis usage and impairment, nor do I see a definition of what impairment is. So that's the first concern I have, is how's it going to impact municipalities as far as our HR is concerned, and the management of how are we going to determine if someone is under the use of or impaired by the use of cannabis. So that was one of the first amendments I'd be worried about. The second one is on-site consumption. Right now, on-site consumption, if it's an alcoholic beverage service, they have to have tipsy training. So there's some sort of training that they have to, the servers or someone on the property has to have. There is no requirement right now for any type of training. Again, the tipsy training, you identify someone who's had too much to drink and you refuse to serve them at that point. Same with ID enforcement. There's nothing in this for on-site consumption. Again, there's no set of requirements for how do you identify, how does an establishment identify someone who appears to be, and what are the standards for appears to be under the influence of cannabis? And finally, are they going to help the enforcement of our police department with additional training? I know there's drug and drunk driver impairment training that is available. It was offered by the state police back in the 80s. So I know that still exists. Are they going to supply additional training for our law enforcement? Is that going to be something that's required? And those additional training, not only requirements that should be coming from the Maryland Police Training Commission, how are they going to be funded and how are they going to be passed on so our police department is in tune and properly able to enforce these type of laws and violations?
That is certainly something we can address in the testimony if the council wishes to suggest those amendments.
Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just for council's benefit, so today, when Mr. Ruchinsky brought the bill to us, we met as a group, and there were a number of items, many of which you touched on, Councilmember Martin. Mr. Ritchie was in the meeting, and there was a number of HR related discussions that we had that Mr. Ruchinsky is going to go back in the testimony and ask for some clarification. Just looking at the notes from the meeting, there was discussion about can a government employer restrict employee possession and or distribution of cannabis on the work site. So currently there's requirements if you're a medical marijuana user, then you can't consume in the workplace. You can consume before. So those are type of things that now that we have the adult use and the medical, and they're sort of marrying these into the same bill, what's going to bleed over from one to the other? The other bigger questions I think all of us have is, as it relates to the police officers, what is impairment, as you said? How do you train for that? What are the signs? What are the symptoms? In addition to that is if it's legal and somebody that possesses a firearm, like one of our police officers, fail a test, then do they lose their job, as does one of Mr. Melizer's DPW folks with a DOT license. So currently, the DOT states is if you come up with dirty on a test, you lose your DOT certification. And if the DOT certification is a requirement for employment here, do we then jettison the employee? All those details are sort of missing within the bill. So those are the things that we would like as an administration for Mr. Ruchinsky to be able to take as part of his testimony to go down to Annapolis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Councilmember Boyer.
So, as a former employee of the American Lung Association, fighting very hard against the tobacco industry for smoking in the workplace, is there anything in regards to the current legislation or even proposed legislation that talks about smoking in public places or in private establishments?
It does. So let me just make this clear. You cannot consume adult use cannabis in public. One. Two, if you are renting a place, a facility, the landlord can put restrictions on smoking within the place being rented, and so can HOAs if you're talking about condominiums.
So even like walking down the street, you can't?
It would be illegal to consume marijuana publicly in that instance.
Okay.
So that would be an enforcement issue.
So, and there's nothing in regards to employees of an establishment where smoking is allowed. There's no protections for them?
Not that I'm aware of, but those could be coming in regulation.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Any other questions? Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I understand that this is a relatively new territory, that many states are facing. I'm sure that the police have ways of telling now if people are driving under the influence. You still can get locked up for a DWI without the presence of alcohol. Is that correct? So there are ways that, currently we can figure out if somebody's under the influence. I'm sure that at the state level, they're going to have to set like a way to test, you know, a certain percentage, just like they do with alcohol, and what's feasible for folks to be driving around in and all that. That's a state issue. I'm not that concerned with that at this time. I recognize that it's probably going to take time, you know, for the policy to catch up with the law. But a couple questions for you, Adam. Is the state the primary licensor and enforcer, so there's not really like a county aspect like there is with alcohol?
That's correct. So it will be regulated in a similar fashion to alcohol. However, it will not be micromanaged, if you will, on the local jurisdictional or county level. So there will not be a local board of cannabis.
So similar like tobacco, for example. So the state is primarily
It's all
involved
global
with that.
at this point at the state level.
Okay. And do you know what Hartford County's position is? Are you privy to that at all?
Not yet, but I hope to learn that this week.
All right.
So I think we're all in the same boat here, where we're still reading the bill. We've all read the bill per se, but we're still trying to learn the ins and outs of it. And as a lot of folks say, the devil's in the details.
Yeah. Well, Adam, I appreciate you putting this presentation together. It looks like it was a lot to go through. That 1.5%, is that immediate at 2024, or is that phased in after the 10%?
I believe that's day one, July 1, we would start seeing that 1.5% if it was sold within our boundaries.
Roger that. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman Robertson. So just for the audience clarification, when were these bills dropped?
Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon. When's the public hearing?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday, yeah. So, yeah, they've hardly given us any time. That's why, in case the public's wondering why we're having this hearing right now, because this is the first the council's really having a chance to hear it, because it was dropped recently last Friday. Meeting's next Thursday, and all we're doing as a council and as a municipality that could be affected one way or the other is just publicly giving our consent to a public hearing in which Havre de Grace weighs in. That's all we're doing, the weighing in a committee meeting in Annapolis, whether the elected officials take our suggestions or not. So just for clarification, but this does happen pretty quick, because they didn't give people a whole lot of time to digest it and then come back and make comment. Sorry, Mr. Gamatori.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, if I may, so Mr. Ruchinsky has to have the testimony in 2 days before the hearing.
Yeah.
So it's the 14th. Tuesday.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy almost. It's almost like they just dropped it and they didn't really care what anybody had to say about it. You know what I mean? Because they don't give anybody really time to digest it and formulate any kind of thoughtful amendments. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know how they operate that way, but they do. Yes.
Are they both on Thursday, the House and Senate?
What's
Both
that?
hearings?
Both hearings are on Thursday?
Just the House side. The Senate has not assigned a hearing date yet.
Thanks.
I would anticipate a large volume of amendments to both pieces of both bills.
All right. So you need to take a vote on the motion?
I got one more question.
Go ahead.
Chief, when we talk about the improved sobriety testing and drug testing, how many of our officers are certified, and what additional training would be required from them to actually bring up their certifications to?
You mean like a drug recognition expert? Right now we have 2. That is a very, very arduous process. Nationally, the numbers of people that go through it, less than half even pass that, because it is such a difficult program.
I'm aware, and that's why I said I was a member of the Alcohol Speed Enforcement Unit, and I was required to take that training. And that's my concern, is we're going to be putting in standards, and that's, I guess my concern is the police department going to be able to, and is the Maryland Police Training Commission going to be able to come up with requirements for what is needed for this type of enforcement?
I don't know, because I don't really know what the requirements are going to be for the enforcement.
Any other questions or comments?
I can answer that. I can tell you that regulation is due in before July 1. from the Training Commission. So in theory, the regulatory framework should be in before this all goes into effect. According to the bill.
According to the bill?
Yes, it prescribes it.
Yeah.
If I can comment just real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman.
I just want to reiterate that this isn't like us agreeing with what they wrote or saying that we think it's bad because we need more training and more everything else. All we're voting on now is to give the administration the authority to actually have those opinions and submit those to testimony. And so Adam, actually, we're all on the same page. So what the questions he's asking is not something we're going to address today. We're just giving the administration the ability to ask those questions in testimony to Annapolis.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, I know that the citizens of Maryland have passed this resolution, or what's it called?
Referendum.
Referendum, thank you. The referendum back in November. And as a small municipality, we are trying to be proactive in finding out everything that's happening. And yes, this is being put in our lap quickly, but I think that it's great that as a council that we work together and, make every effort to understand what's being put before us so that we can be proactive in putting in zoning laws and establish, regulations within our municipality based on what comes down from the state. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you. Councilmember Martin.
Last comment. Maryland Municipal League will not be taking, the legislative committee will not be taking this up until Wednesday.
Okay.
So that'll be one of the topics of, their meeting is Wednesday, so it was dropped on Friday. Again, they will not be addressing it until Wednesday, and I do not know what MACO's position is on this at the current time. But I can tell you MML will not be addressing it until this Wednesday.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay. Thank you very much. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Adam. Well done. Okay, we're going to go item B. We have a budget amendment to acquire a pump-out system. And I'll hand that off to the chair of the Budget Finance Committee, Councilmember Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members. I move to approve Budget Amendment 2023-10.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Shenegis. Questions or comments on the motion? Budget Amendment 2023-010. Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for the edification of the viewing audience and those present, this is to purchase an Edison pump-out system for the marina. This is using the Marina Fund. However, it's DNR funded, so this is actually grant funded, one of the grants that EJ was speaking about earlier. So no cost to the slip holders down there.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. I'm sorry. Councilmember Shenegis.
Councilmember Robertson, thank you for clarifying that it's at no cost to the slip holders.
Money in, money out. Thank you. Okay, Budget Amendment 2023-10. I'm going to do a roll call vote on the budget amendment. Councilmember Shenegis.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Council President Ringsager.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative. Budget Amendment 2023-10 is approved by council. And Councilman Robertson, would you mind giving us those two account numbers, please?
Sure. Increasing the DNR grant fund line in Marina Fund 8, account number 08-1809-48-63, DNR grant, $14,700, and increasing the expenditure account line 08-1839-6501, Edson Pump Out System, $14,700.
Excellent. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Horty. Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Okay, we're going to go to special events. We have 7 special events to be approved here, so you ready, Mr. Gamatori?
I am, Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Council, the first special event application is the Mardi Gras Parade. It's sponsored by the Historic Preservation Commission, a commission of the city. The on-site contact person will be Bambi Johnson. It'll be a parade. The parade route will be Bourbon Street, starting behind the Star Center, left on Washington, on Bourbon, left on Washington, St. John, and ends at the American Legion. The setup will be at 4:30 on the 21st of February. It'll begin at 6 p.m., end about 7, and then breakdown will be about 7:30. In your packet, you'll see the map of the event and also the call sheet at the end of the packet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatori.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson. Second by the Council President. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Mardi Gras Parade, February 21st, 2023 is approved 5-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatori.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, the second event application is the Havre Grace Recreational Committee's annual Easter egg hunt, sponsored by the Havre Grace Rec Committee. The Easter egg hunt will occur on the 8th of April. It'll begin at noon and be done at 12:01.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Martin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Annual Easter egg hunt for April 8th, 2023 was approved as fast as the event takes place.
Can we make sure you're in town?
What's that?
I said, can we make sure you're in
Sure,
town?
absolutely. I'll be there. Absolutely. Of course. All right. Item 3, Mr. Gamatori.
The next event is the Pyrex and Vintage Fest. This will be one of 2 applications you'll see tonight. It's sponsored by the Havre Grace Alliance. Contact person is Jolene Forrester. Setup is on the 29th of April at 7 a.m. The event starts at 9, ends at 4, with a breakdown at 5. In your packet, Ms. Forrester did a nice job with getting business support as depicted in your packet. It's got the map, an overview of the event, what the signage will look like, and at the end of the packet's the costing sheet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatori. Council, I have a motion to approve the Pyrex and Vintage Fest.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Martin, second by Councilman Robertson. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to approve the Pyrex and Vintage Fest for April 29, 2023 carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatori.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, you have the first Fridays, May through October, before you this evening. These are city-sponsored events. On-site contact persons, Lori Orzowitz. The event dates are about 3 or 4 pages into your packet, along with the street closures, all the same as in previous years, as is the map and the costing sheet at the rear. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Council, I have a motion to approve First Fridays from May 5th to June 2nd, July 7th, August 4th, September 1st, October 6th, from 5 to 9:30 p.m. downtown.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Council President, second by Councilmember
Yes.
Boyer. Shaboyer.
I think they did both answer.
All right.
Shamalama-ding-dong.
Motion by the Council President, second by Councilmember Boyer. This is for First Fridays, if you've ever heard of it. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. First Fridays are approved. 5-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatori.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next event application, council, is a visit by the Pride of Baltimore 2. This will take place on, they'll be here June 1st. The actual event will start June 2nd. It'll last until June 4th, when they'll depart on the 5th. The times we were still working out, but it looks like the Friday night event will be about 4 p.m. Until dark, and then the Saturday and Sunday, we'll announce all these times. They're still working through the details, but likely it'll be from like noon till 6 each day, both Saturday and Sunday. It'll be down at Frank Hutchins Park, down at the pier. They'll also be using the pavilion. The map of the site is attached, as is the costing sheet. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, sir.
So moved.
Pride of Baltimore 2 visit for June 2nd to June 4th, 2023. Motion made by Councilman Robertson, seconded by Councilmember Martin. Question or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City of Havre de Grace welcomes the Pride of Baltimore. 5-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatori.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next event is the Arts, Wine, Jazz, and Soul Festival, which is sponsored by the Havre de Grace Color School Museum and Cultural Center. Pat Cole will be the contact person. This will be a festival that typically happens down at the North Park. This year, we'll be moving it up to Concord Point Park. It'll begin on at 10 p.m. Setup will begin at 10 p.m. on the 11th of August. The event is the 12th from 11 till 7 p.m. Breakdown will be at 9. With regards to Ms. Allen's comment about the map, we will work with Ms. Pat Cole on adjusting the event map where we typically do not allow the restrooms to be encompassed, and it'll be set up just like all the other events that we have down at Concord Point Park. I don't think that'll be an issue with Ms. Cole. The costing sheet is attached, as is the other documentation relative to the event. And the Color School has done a wonderful job. This is an event that has grown over the years, and I think Concord Point Park will be a great venue for them this year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Council, I have a motion to approve the Arts, Wine, Jazz, and Soul Festival for August 12th.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Martin, second by Councilmember Robertson. Questions or comments?
Get there early.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Arts, Wine, and Jazz and Soul Festival, August 12, 2023, at Concord Point Park is approved, 5-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatori.
Last but not least is the Pyrex and Vintage Festival, which will be in September. Again, Jolene Foster will be the on-site person. The sponsoring organization is the Havre de Grace Alliance. This will occur on the 16th of September. Setup is at 7 a.m. Event starts at 9, ends at 4. Breakdown is at 5. The area is depicted on what will be closed down on Pennington, Lodge Lane, down toward across Washington Street. She has again had the signage, the map, and the neighboring businesses support letter, as well as the costing sheet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatori. Council, I have a motion to approve the Pyrex and Vintage Fest for September 16th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Robertson, seconded by Councilmember Shenegis. Questions or comments?
I said Jimmy.
Oh, did you
doesn't
make the
matter.
motion or did Tammy?
Casey did.
I did.
Oh, sorry. Seconded by Councilmember Boyer.
Shamoy.
Motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Boyer. This is for the Pyrex and Vintage Fest for September 16, 2023. Any questions or comments, council? We'll start with Councilmember Boyer.
I just want to give Jolene kudos again. She does a great job with this. I love how she reaches out to her neighbors and just the level of respect and just bringing a whole new genre to Havre Grace. I think it's fabulous, and I want to encourage others to follow her suit, and it's a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Snegas.
I just wanted to comment on the fact that Jolene puts together a wonderful event 2 times a year, so that in the event you may miss out, you get to go again. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Pirates and Vintage Fest for September 16, 2023 is approved, 5-0 in the affirmative. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Mr. Gamatori. Thank you, Council. We're going to go to the Director's report, and we're going to go right back to Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few items this evening. Mr. Don McLaughlin spoke on behalf of the sailing school. If you, Council recalls, going back to October of 2021, Mr. Glenn Frome came before Council. The administration has supported his efforts to try to get the no-wake zone included through DNR efforts. It looks like they're going to have a test case here. We will send another support letter before the 13th of February. That's when the final requests for comment are required to be in. So we'll do that. He's been a champion of this effort. I know the number of conversations that we've had with the sailing school. Captain Rick has came once or twice this past season about some of the boat traffic out there. So hopefully this will help, and we'll continue to support those efforts. Budget activity, I'd like to thank all the directors. Mayor, the directors did a yeoman's job getting everything in on time last Friday. The administration is now actively compiling and categorizing all the budget requests, and we will be in touch and get it to council as soon as humanly possible. We are the big weight right now is the constant yield, and once we get that, then we can really start looking at the what the predicted revenues will be. Just a couple more things. One, I would like to mention an upcoming event with the Havre Grace Arts Collective, who's doing a wonderful job in the city on a variety of projects, from the statue walk to just getting events, using the Opera House for some of their events. And we had the mayor and I had the opportunity to meet with Ms. Katie No a couple weeks ago, and they have just a kind of a new, I don't want to say a breath of fresh air, but it's just kind of a new outlook on how they're going to take the Arts Collective. And the Arts Collective was once the primary operator of the Opera House, which now they're a tenant. So I think everything is working out well there. They are having the Masquerade Ball and Fundraiser, which is a major fundraiser for a lot of their arts events. It'll be February the 18th from 6 to 10 p.m. 10 p.m. at the Community Center. To get tickets, you can go on the Havre Grace Arts Collective website or Eventbrite. And Mayor, that's the end of my comments for this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatori. We're going to go to the Director of Planning, Mr. Tim Boursier. Good evening, sir.
Good evening again. Just a few things. So I want to thank Adam. He left, but he was really great today in presenting earlier, as Stephen mentioned, all the new legislation on marijuana. I've taken another look at that and have identified about 8 or 9 businesses or uses that would go into the zoning code. So obviously this legislation will change, but we can start to look to see where each of those individual type businesses would better fit into the city. So we're working through some of that stuff now, and that information was given to Adam as well after I was able to look at the legislation more earlier. On the same note with legislation, we're getting a lot of the fiscal bills that go to George, and he's been passing those on to us, so thank him for that. And I've been providing comments back to him on any legislation that would be affecting planning and zoning issues in the city. On February 9th, so in a couple days from 6 to 7:30, the Baltimore Metropolitan Council is holding an open house about the US 40 bike pedestrian lane. So the whole public's invited to go and give input. That's at our Havre de Grace Activity Center at 351 Lewis Lane. Any information on that can be found at publicinput.com/US40bikeped. So it's publicinput.com/US40bikeped. So that was all the information that's been part of their two public input sessions they've already had. So you can kind of go armed with information and then discuss any issues you may have during that open house. So again, that's February 9th at 6 to 7:30 at the Havre de Grace Activity Center at 351 Lewis Lane. And the last thing, we had a resident in the Chapel Road area interested in coming into the city because it's actually less expensive for them to be in the city rather than be in the county at this time. There's a few properties in that area that are not part of the city. So we're holding an open house here at 6 o'clock on February 15th for anyone to come in to discuss annexation and what the benefits of being part of the city of Havre de Grace are. And that is it for me. If anybody has any questions, I will take them.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tim. Appreciate the report. Good evening, Ms. Bridget Johnson, Director of Economic Development and Tourism.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens at home. A couple of quick updates. One, for the Department of Economic Development, we have a software that we are using called TrafX. I've talked about this software before in the past. It is for the pedestrian counters. Earlier in 2022, we received a grant from the LSHG to purchase these pedestrian counters. The counters are located in the Farmers Market area in the downtown, the Joe K Trail, the Promenade, and soon to be at the Swan Harbor Trail location. I bring this information up because in March I'm going to provide you with a in-depth report of the amount of visitors and foot traffic that we have into the city of Havre de Grace. This information is important as we move forward with requesting grant funding for tourism and for economic development purposes. As a small teaser to the upcoming report in March, it was interesting to know we pulled data from August 22nd until January 31st of 2023. And within that collection of data, it shows that Havre de Grace is not just a seasonal destination city. We, of course, received our largest foot traffic in August, 57,125 people on the promenade. But also in January, we had over 35,000 visitors at the promenade. So this tells us that our local citizens are using the promenade as well as visitors to the city. We will have up-to-date information not only on the promenade, but in the other areas that I mentioned, including the Joe K Trail, the downtown foot traffic. I think this information is important as we seek another grant for additional pedestrian counters, as well as another software that will go into use in March, and it's called Zartico. We are partnering with Visit Hartford. With this software, it tracks people through their cell phones. This is nothing new. If you have your locator on or GPS on your cell phone, you are already being tracked by the government. So we won't be able to see who anyone is or their personal information, but we will be able to see if someone visits our city, visits the Star Center, the downtown, and then if they leave here and they go stay at a hotel in Aberdeen, they come back to the city the next day, or really anywhere within Harford County. So we are happy to be partnering with Visit Hartford, and I will provide the council with more information, hopefully in March. Additionally, speaking of the Arts Collective moved into the Artists Emporium building at 220 North Washington Street. This is great because that space became vacant in January. I don't think it was vacant longer than 2 weeks, and I'm happy that it wasn't vacant. It's a beautiful building, a large space in our downtown, and it's great to have the Arts Collective in that space. So another shout out to Katie No. She's only been in this position about 3 months, but she's already making great changes. The Economic Development Advisory Board will meet on Wednesday, February 15th, 4:00 p.m. here in council chambers. Our very own Director of Administration, Steve Gamatoria, is the guest speaker for February. The Tourism Advisory Board meets on the same day, January, is it 15th or 18th, that Wednesday? 15th, 10 a.m. here in council chambers. I talk about these meetings because they are open to the public, and we are starting to receive more public participation, which is also a good thing. Our department is in the process of applying for 4 grants between now and May. That's a very aggressive schedule. These grants are at the federal level, 2 at the state level, and 1 at the local level. They are all for capital improvement projects, so there will be more details coming in the future because I'm sure we will need probably a resolution. But at this time, we're meeting with the Director of Administration to see what projects are a priority, and we will seek as much funding as we can to supplement the city's budget. The part-time position in the tourism office, it is the Main Street and Tourism Coordinator position, is posted on the city website, www.havredegracemd.com, under employment. The position will be posted for another 10 days. We've received about 7 applications so far, so I look forward to reviewing those applications and filling that position hopefully within the next 3 weeks. Valentine's, of course, is in the month of February, and our tourism manager has a lot going on, but we did want to share this one promotion going on in the downtown called Share the Local Love. It's Havre Grace Pink Saturday, February the 11th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Wear pink and save big. We bring this one event up because there are several events taking place throughout the month of February, and we want everyone to visit explorehavredegrace.com, our website, or Facebook page for additional information. We are headed to Annapolis on Friday, February 10th for Tourism Day. So it's 4 of us leaving from the city of Havre Grace to support our tourism manager, also to meet the delegates and the senators to discuss any legislation currently affecting tourism throughout the state of Maryland, and to advocate always for additional funding. And I think that's it, unless there are any questions. Yes, sir.
Do you think we could improve our tracking data if we put up a big balloon?
Well, we have one. I hear you, CP.
Hypothetically.
I hear you. Any other questions?
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. Appreciate the report.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Doherty, Director of Finance.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens, both here and watching over the internet. First, let me thank the council for approving the budget amendment. This is a piece of equipment we've long sought to replace, and it was very good fortune that Steve was able to get that grant to make that happen. And I promise you it's going to be well used. Now, for the current conditions, the general fund is currently sitting at just under $5.5 million, and it's about $200,000 ahead of where we thought we would be in the budget. Revenues have been at about $18 million, which is actually below budget by about $300,000, but we think most of that is due to timing. Expenses have been at $12.8 million, which is $500,000 below budget, and most of that can be attributed to the delays in the construction that every organization I know of is experiencing. We are not immune. The Water and Sewer Fund, the fund balance is sitting at $1.7 million, which is below budget by about $950,000. Revenues are at 8.7, which is about $1 million below budget. However, it should be noted that the February water bills have not yet been posted into the system. They're having their final scrutiny, but their estimate is $970,000, which brings that deficit down to $50,000. And the rest of it can be due again to ARPA funding delays because of slowdown in construction and capital projects. The expenses in the water sewer fund are at $7 million, and they are just below budget by about $55,000, so they're pretty much close to budget. The Marina Fund balance is sitting at a little over $1.3 million and is ahead of the budget by almost $200,000. Revenues are at $1.67 million, which is about $60,000 higher, and most of that can be attributed to the fuel sales that have been going on even during the off-season. Expenses are right at about $350,000, which is about $150,000 below budget, and most of that can be due to the delays in getting that fuel tank we keep talking over and over again that we're just waiting on delivery. That should make that up. So we're pretty on line with a few noted exceptions, but I do believe most of them are temporary and timing in nature and will be resolved in due course. And that's my current status of the major funds report, sir. I am available for any questions.
Thank you very much, George. Any questions for Mr. Doherty?
Thank you, sir.
Doherty, thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Merlizer, Director of Public Works. How are you, sir?
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Council members, citizens here and at home. I'll be quick. BGE gas line on Lewis and Revolution, project's finally underway. They were awaiting parts, as George mentioned, hinted at. We're not immune to the delays, so I've been informed they wrap up in 1 to 2 weeks. Next, we're currently installing a new sewer line on Giles Street. Tree roots actually grew into the sewer lateral, so we've had to replace that entire area. It's just a quick, brief reminder for residents planning to plant trees. Please call in. Please get the information from our Chief of Construction, Joe Conaway, or myself. Call into the department. We're more than happy to advise you on the right location and proper species. Last week, we received some complaints about potholes on Green Street. There's not really any potholes on Green Street. It's just cold patch and a temporary steel plate that's over. New infrastructure to upgrade that 4-inch water line to an 8-inch water line, hopefully alleviate some of the pressure downtown for our aging infrastructure we constantly talk about. So that project's supposed to wrap up in 2 to 3 weeks, so please bear with us. We do have some growing pains. We know this is a historic district, and we promise you we will preserve it. So just bear with us while we fix the infrastructure underground. We'll put it back. Friday, many of you might have noticed if you're driving around town, there was trash and heavy winds flying around. We did receive a few complaints that we were addressing as they came in, and we're not immune to the shortage of pickup. So I do apologize on the delays, but the wind actually blew so hard it blew down one of the street light poles in the wastewater treatment plant. So thankfully no one was hurt. Mr. Rodney was there to secure the power. So on that note, we do and have a citywide cleanup event coming up on Earth Day. So looking forward to Saturday, April 22nd, 2023. And I can't think of a better way to honor Mr. Bob Green by a citywide cleanup. So with that, Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, EJ. And what was the date on that cleanup again? April 22nd?
April 22nd.
22nd. All right.
Birthday.
I'm sure we'll do a lot more PR on that, but I know the citizens are always happy when we do the dumpster days.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First off, I want to thank everybody who donated to the Team Havre Grace and also the individual team members for the polar bear plunge. On Friday, it was brisk, to say the least. They had probably one of the largest turnouts that they ever had for the polar bear plunge, and I think they raised a very substantial amount of money throughout that 3 or 4 day period. For us, we set a goal of $5,000. We raised $6,557, which is really good. So I want to thank everybody who did donate to our team and to us as individuals. We really do appreciate it. Our top
I guess you would say donors or recipients, was Captain Crass. His people donated $1,175. Corporal Gertz, he raised $852. And Auxiliary Officer Matt Croak, he raised $765. So, and then it graduated down as we went along. So again, we really do want to thank everybody for their donations. It's for a wonderful cause. The athletes are amazing when you go down and you meet with them and talk to them, which is great. The other thing I wanted to let everybody else know is that I do appreciate the council for voting on and passing my budget amendment when I had asked for the money for the barricades that we have put in for, the barriers. They have arrived. All we're waiting for now is the trailer in order to move them around. I'm really excited about it. You think, most girls get excited about money and jewelry, and I'm excited about barricades. So I need to upgrade, I think, but I'm not sure. But anyhow, I am really excited for those to be deployed once all of these special events start kicking up. Looking forward to it. The other thing that I want to let the council know is that our judgmental or our VR system for the judgmental shooting, that is also on its way. So we invite you all, whenever you want to come on over and try that once we have that system. I think you will really enjoy it, and thank you, Council President, I know you will. And you'll see what we're talking about when it comes to the judgmental shooting and what officers have to deal with it from time to time. Finally, I also want to congratulate Sergeant Brown. Bert Brown, he's a phenomenal police officer. He's a really, really good guy, very devoted to the city of Havre de Grace, so it was really good to see him also get promoted. So that would be it, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate the update. We're going to go to item 16, business from Mayor's office. This will be very brief. Keep my comments short. This Saturday, February 11th, at the Star Center, is our next concert series, and it's going to be an 80s band, and it's going to be called the Reprom. So those of you who missed who really missed the 1980s and you really miss your prom, you get a chance to live it all over again. So unlike most concerts that we have that's in the auditorium, this concert is going to be just like your prom. It's going to be in the gymnasium. So there's going to be tables set up around the side perimeter, a lot of room for dancing. There's going to be a stage. I even heard the bar is going to be under the bleachers. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Feel free to dress up. I ordered my linen white blazer and my pink T-shirt with the 3 buttons on it, just like Don Johnson from Miami Vice. So I'm ready to roll. That's my look. That was when I was a kid. Man, Miami Vice was so cool. You were already a police officer, weren't you? Like when I was on, you're probably looking at it thinking it's so unreal, right?
Oh my gosh.
I was just like, I would never miss it on Friday night. Miami Vice came on. Anyway, but the whole point is. These concert series come very often. Please go on to the Star Center website, Star Center Facebook page, Explore Havre de Grace Facebook page. So it's a really top flight 80s band called 80s Revolution. They're great music. You can go to Eventbrite and purchase your tickets. So it's going to be a wonderful time, another great weekend in February in the city of Havre de Grace. And like I say, and Chief, congratulations to you officers for raising the money at the Valeria Plunge. Very commendable, as always. And with that, my comments are short tonight. And we're going to go right to Councilmember Robertson.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, city staff, ladies and gentlemen here and at home. Just one quick thing to put out. Just a reminder that College Prep 101 will be taking place February 18th from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Havre de Grace Library. This is a partnership between the Havre de Grace Youth Commission, the Harford County Library System, Harford Community College, and now several different organizations. So if you have any college-bound sophomores, freshmen, seniors, juniors, whatever, bring them out. Great information. There are going to be folks with a whole bunch of different scholarships that will be available, as well as testing prep and all that good stuff. So again, February 18th, 10:30 to 12:30. That's 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Saturday, February 18th at the Havre de Grace Library. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Robertson. Good evening, Councilmember Shenanigans.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Administration, citizens in the audience, and citizens at home. I want to say thank you tonight to our Director of Planning, Tim Borsier, for presenting the Harford County Schools Growth Plan. I appreciate you taking the efforts to bridge the gap between our county and our city, and you did a great job. Thank you. And I'd also like to thank Director of Public Works, E.J. Malazer, for presenting on behalf of the Marina Commission. You did it with confidence, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much. I also want to thank you for the beautiful sidewalk on Juniata. Thank you to DPW workers and to Councilmember Boyer for instrumenting that. And I really appreciate that we're connecting our cities for everyone and making it a continued walkable city. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Shenanigans. And good evening, Councilmember Martin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council President, Council, staff, those in the audience, and those at home. I'm going to give you real short. Thank you, Chief, and all your officers. A special thanks to Sergeant Brown, and congratulations on his promotion. Thoughts and prayers for a speedy recovery to Councilwoman Zinner. As she is not able to make it, she is struggling with COVID. So, again, keep her in your thoughts and prayers. With that, good night.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. Appreciate it. And Councilmember Boyer.
Thank you, Mayor. I, too, want to give congrats to Sergeant Brown. My daughter was in high school when he was there, and to say that he's a teddy bear is one thing, but more so the admiration that the students have for him and the respect that he has garnered, it's palpable, especially when you go to First Fridays, where he is a superstar whenever he walks the streets. So he's just a wonderful man and a great leader for our kids. The truck traffic work group has met. We have our next meeting on February 13th at noon. We'll be doing that via phone. We've identified a couple of truck routes that we are trying to document and moving forward on it. I'll keep you all apprised as we go along, but the group is a great group of people, and we've been highly productive. The Street and Traffic Safety Committee met last Monday, and I want to let you all know that they've identified 3 priority locations for additional sidewalk projects in addition to the one that just was completed. The next priority number 1 is on Market Street by the firehouse, and it's just the continuation of the sidewalk. It's just one of those places where there's a sidewalk, then there's no sidewalk, and then there's sidewalk. So that's priority location number 1. Priority location number 2 is again on Juniata from Erie to Ostego. And the 3rd priority is Lafayette from the Lighthouse up to Market. We recognize that they cannot be done all at once, but hopefully it can be included into the budget process moving forward as projects, or maybe even opportunities for grants to continue our walkable communities. And thank you for the compliment there. The committee's very excited as well, working with DPW. And finally, I want to let you, I'm going to put on my Army hat, I want to let you all know that the BEA Conference is coming up, and what's really exciting about the BEA Conference this year is, I work for the Army Materiel Command. There's going to be over 330 jobs just in the Army Materiel Command. Some of them are APG, they're all over the world, but we are just one of many commands who will be recruiting at BEA. If you are interested, either yourself or a family member, we're especially looking for recent grads, great opportunities all across the United States. Please go on, you can go onto Facebook and look for APG Facebook, and there'll be what's called a tiny URL that you can click on that'll take you to a place to put your resume in. They will be hiring. There's a commitment from the leadership to come away from this recruiting event with 200 job offers being made. So it is a very exciting We are very motivated, so it's a great opportunity for anyone looking for a job. Everything from budget analyst and accountant all the way up to mechanical engineer. It's the whole gambit of jobs. So again, go on to APG Facebook and you can get to that tiny URL. The hiring fair will be in person and online. I personally recommend doing online because the in-person is down at the Gaylord in DC. And that is February 10th and 11th, the weekend where everything's happening that weekend. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Finally, we're going to go to business from Council President Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, Council, citizens, just a few things here. Last Wednesday, myself with several members of the council, along with the mayor and the mayor's staff, went down to Annapolis, and a few of us met with delegates Johnson and Johnson. I tell you, I was really impressed with how they're working towards achieving some goals here in Havre, trying to get us some funding on a lot of projects. Got to say that Delegate Steve Johnson's office, he lives out in Aberdeen, but his office was completely covered in Havre stuff. It was pretty cool. And I did bring a football helmet to Delegate Andre Johnson for his helmet collection from Havre Grace Rec Football. So he's super excited about putting that up and representing Havre Grace. And on that note, Havre Grace Rec Football is shooting for their first registration date of February 13th. That information will be available, coming out. We'll figure out how to get it out there. Little League registration is currently open. You go to hdglittleleague.org, and February 20th is the last day for registration for Havre Grace Little League. That's baseball, softball, and t-ball. And April 22nd is opening day. April 22nd is opening day. That's also the River Sweep. Earth Day. Yep, and I'll be out of town. I'd like to congratulate Life Scout Paul Davis from Troop 965 for his work on his Eagle Scout project at the blacksmith shop at Stepping Stone Museum, and it's going to be a welcome addition to that. And with that, Mr. Mayor, under the Open Meetings Act, General Provision, Article 3-305, I make a motion to go into closed session upon adjournment of this open session on Monday, February 6, 2023, to consider the following matter. Number one, acquisition of real property for public purpose. This meeting will be closed under General Provisions, Article Section 3-305, Sections B, Subsection 3, to consider the acquisition of real property for public purpose and matters directly related thereto. The reason for closing this meeting is deliberations for acquisition of real property in confidential setting is in the city's best and public interest, cities and public's best interest, and permitted under the Open Meetings Act. The City Council will not resume open session after closed session, and votes, if any, will be recorded in public at the council meeting on February 21st, 2023.
Thank you very much, Council President. Council, I have a motion by the Council President moving to closed session.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Martin. This is a motion to go into closed session to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to go into closed session carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Anything else, Council President?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Council President makes a motion to adjourn. Seconded by Councilmember Martin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn carries 5-0 in the affirmative. The time is now 9:09 p.m. This concludes the February 6, 2023 council meeting. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening. We'll see you in 2 weeks.